Welcome to qnawire.
In order to determine the percent yield of SO3, we need to calculate the theoretical yield that can be produced from 6 grams O2 and 7 grams sulfur. The first thing is to get a balanced chemical reaction. The equation is sulfur reacting with O2 producing SO3. We have 1 sulfur and 1 sulfur. To balance it, we need to put 3 halves in front of oxygen. 3 halves times 2 gives us 3, and we have 3 oxygens over here. However, it's typically not appropriate to leave it with fractions, so if we multiply the whole equation through by 2, we'll get 2 sulfurs plus 3 oxygens, producing 2 sulfur trioxides. So let's start with the amount of oxygen, 6 grams. We can convert that into moles by dividing by the molar mass of O2. Once we know moles O2 and the stoichiometry, we can see that 3 moles O2 yields 2 moles of SO3. Then when we have moles SO3, we'll multiply by the molar mass of SO3. So if all of the oxygen is consumed, we'll produce 10 grams of sulfur trioxide. If we additionally have 7 grams of sulfur, we can convert the grams of sulfur into moles of sulfur by dividing by its molar mass, and then go from moles of sulfur to moles of sulfur trioxide, which is a 2-to-2 relationship, and then moles sulfur trioxide to grams sulfur trioxide, just as we did up here. So if all of the sulfur is consumed and there's enough oxygen, we'll get 17.5 grams of sulfur trioxide. Because we can make more sulfur trioxide with the sulfur and less with oxygen, oxygen is the limiting reactant, and we'll only be able to make as much sulfur trioxide as we have oxygen. Therefore, the theoretical yield will be the 10 grams coming from oxygen, the limiting reactant. Now that we know the theoretical amount, we can calculate percent yield by taking the amount we actually got, 7.9 grams, dividing by the theoretical amount, multiplying by 100, and we get 79% yield for sulfur trioxide.